morning and welcome to the Design and Build Summit India 2018 over here in the Ritz-Carlton. Thank you all very much for coming over here this morning. We really appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, the theme of our event today is building value. And the event is designed in such a way to build value through the conference agenda. We have come up with the best speakers we could find and identify for the event through the conference, and also through the face-to-face meetings that you will experience over the next morning and during the course of today. And the entire event is designed to ensure that you get value through the meetings, because you're meeting the exact partners that you are looking for, as well as through the conference with some new insights and also what to look forward to in the coming months and years ahead. Before we start off with the agenda, of course, we would like to thank all of you once again, in particular our partners, especially our titanium partner and our platinum partner, which you can see over here on the stage backdrop, KEF, Katara, and Greenback Solutions. We'll be hearing from KEF and Greenback very shortly this morning. To kickstart the summit, we are going to hear some insights and what to look forward to, what's really happening in the real estate market for the end of 2018, as well as what to look forward to in 2019. And it gives me immense pleasure to introduce to you Mr. Prashant Thakur, who's the head of research from Anurag Property Consultants, who will be sharing his insight and knowledge and experience with us, which he has accumulated over decades of experience. Anurag Property Consultants is, of course, our knowledge partner for this initiative. So without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome Mr. Prashant Thakur onto the stage.
Good morning, everybody. So in the next 20 minutes, I would like to be walking you through the current state of real estate, where we are right now and where we are kind of heading. And if I have to consider the 20 minutes time allocated for giving you the insight of the current state of real estate, I think it's kind of not adequate considering the state where we are right now. So if I have to So if I have to quickly summarize that where we are right now in terms of as an industry as a whole. So last couple of years, if we all recollect, has been a back-to-back bombardment of a lot of regulatory changes in terms of RERA, GST, change in accounting norms, Benami, and then of course demonetization. So these all changes were meant to make this industry fundamentally strong. Real estate has been suffering from the issue of non-transparency, uniform tax practices, which was kind of putting off the buyers and a lot of global investors. So these changes, though might be very painful in short term, but definitely is going to put this industry on a very strong footing. What came unexpected was IL&FS crisis, which kind of sucked out the entire liquidity from the market, and right now, as I speak today, all the developers are kind of stuck in a liquidity crisis. They don't have funds to complete the project. So in a way, if we look at the industry right now, we are in a vicious cycle. The buyers are not coming in the market because of two reasons. First of all, they find the price point too high, and they also are apprehensive whether the developer will be able to complete the project or not, because the buyer is seeing a lot of construction delay happening. On the other hand, since sales is not happening, developer is not able to generate revenue for his project, which is not able to put it in the construction. So the construction cycle is not moving. And developer is also not able to get fund from the financial institution. So we are in a flux. He is not able to construct. Buyers are not coming because they are not seeing any movement. So I think this is a deadlock, and very soon RBI and the government is planning to intervene, and we'll see some kind of resolution happening. So with this backdrop, I'll walk you through a few numbers, which is in terms of how the launches are happening, how the supply is happening, and then at the end of my presentation, I have jotted out a couple of points about how 2019 is going to look like, since we are at the end of the year, so that would make sense. So this slide basically gives us the entire snapshot of the size of the residential real estate. So, we have been hearing a lot that though residential is not doing quite well, commercial and retail is doing, phenomenally good. But if you look at this pie chart, 85% of the size of Indian real estate industry constitutes of your residential part, and only 15% is commercial and retail. So even if your commercial and retail is doing quite well, till the time your residential does not pick up, this entire industry is going to be in a flux. So this slide gives you the background of the size of residential market that we are all talking about, and we are all stakeholders. So basically we have been talking about that the sales have been slowing from last couple of years. So this slide basically what it does is it shows you the new launch and the supply sales happening quarter wise. So if you look at the figures from first quarter of 2015 to the third quarter of 2018, one positive development that you see is the number of launches, new supply hitting the market every quarter has been less than the sales happening every quarter. So the red ones are your sales launches happening every quarter, and the grey ones are units sold. So if you look at quarter 1 2015, that was the time where the launches are happening in the range of 1 lakh, 1,25,000 per quarter, and the sales were somewhere around 50 or 65,000. So in market there's always a situation of oversupply, but slowly from last 9 quarters the launches are less and the sales are happening in a faster pace than the launches. So what is happening is slowly your unsold inventory is coming down, and this is happening because of 2 reasons. Number one, the developers are now very consciously trying to complete the projects which were pending for quite a long time. And the preference of buyers have now shifted towards buying ready-to-move-in apartment. And this has happened because of a couple of reasons. Number one, none of the buyers now wants to take any kind of execution risk. And second, we all know that GST is not there on the completed apartment. So in order to avoid GST, they are kind of preferring to buy ready-to-move-in apartment. So this is a good development happening for the entire industry, and slowly will reach an equilibrium where your demand and supply should be in a position, and then we can see the new launches again coming in the market, and that's where we will see the green shoot of recovery. So in my opinion, we are yet a couple of quarters away from reaching the bottom in terms of launches and sales, but we'll reach there in a couple of quarters. So this slide basically shows the cities who have been ranked according to the launches and supply in the last 9 months. So if you see MMR, which is Mumbai Metropolitan Region, leads in terms of launches as well as sales. And the good part is Bangalore, our city, I think it has been a very resilient city right now in terms of launches as well as sales. It has kind of stood tall in terms of all the slowdown that we have seen last couple of quarters and years. There has been a phenomenal change in the mix of launches that we have seen in the last 9 months. So if we go back a couple of years, the kind of launches that the developers were doing not only in Bangalore but in other cities as well was more skewed towards ticket size of 1 CR and above. And those launches were basically targeted at investors. Now we all know that investors have kind of abandoned the market, and it's a purely end-user driven market. And an end-user driven market, I don't think anybody is looking at a ticket size above 85 or max 1 CR. So if you look at the composition of new launches, the developers are very consciously kind of reconfigured the launches. Now if you see 32% to 42% are the launches are happening in the bracket of 40 lakhs. And if you combine the red and grey bars, so I think more than half of the launches are happening in the range of 40 to 80 lakhs, which is what the end users are looking at. It's a very healthy sign for the market because now the developers have tuned the launches as per the demand. So, 5 or 6 years back when the industry was at the peak, the developers had this mentality of, let's build it and the buyers will come. It was more of a supplier-driven market. But now the dynamics has changed. Now developers are listening to what the end users are looking at and what is their budget that they're kind of very fixed to. So this slide shows you the kind of percentage contribution of each cities in the new launches that have happened. So if you look at quarter 1 2015, NCR predominantly was the biggest market in India. At one point of time, NCR used to lead the entire launches and sales happening across the country. And it had a share of 29% in the total launches. Now if you see, it has come down to 8% because most of the developers over there are struggling with liquidity crunch. Their projects are running behind schedule. It was primarily driven by investors. Investors have totally abandoned the market, and we are facing a situation of a supply glut in that market. And I think if I'm talking about the recovery in a couple of next quarters, I would exclude NCR out of that market because still I think that market is a couple of years behind the recovery track. Please feel free to stop me if I'm going too fast. And the second change that developers have done apart from the budget size, they have also brought down the configuration, the sizes of the unit that they are launching. So if you look at this slide, in MMR, the average size of the apartment that they are launching has come down to 12%. And similarly, if you see, on an average, 15% of reduction in size has happened. This slide shows you basically the unsold inventory situation in India. This is a bit kind of scary because most of the cities have a huge amount of unsold inventory left. Now, for example, if you see NCR, the amount of unsold inventory that NCR has, it will take 58 months to get cleared. Similarly, MMR has 46 months of unsold inventory. The good part about southern part of the city is that they have a very less inventory overhang. So if you look at Bangalore, the unsold inventory has come down drastically, last only by 10%. And this also taking into account where your launches have been very much in Bangalore. And Bangalore has only 34 months of unsold inventory. So southern part of the country is doing quite well because the developers have been historically been very focused on execution, and they have maintained a very healthy mix of investors and end users. And as this market is still robust. So this slide shows you the price appreciation. So if you see the prices of real estate in India peaked in Q3 2015, and after that it has remained stagnant. So from Q3 12 to Q3 15 was the period where everybody saw a phenomenal return on the investment in real estate. And after that, the prices have remained very stagnant, and they're expected to remain flat for a couple of next quarters. So very quickly, I would like to put my points at what we expect 2019 to be. So to be very honest, 2019 is going to be no different than 2018. And in my opinion, it's going to be another challenging year. And there are a couple of reasons why I say so. So number one, obviously the liquidity crunch is going to limit the developer's ability to complete the project, and we'll see a lot of projects being stuck, falling behind schedule, and due to which the buyers will continue to refrain from making any purchase decision. Interest rates are definitely hardening. Bond yields have gone up. US is increasing its interest rate. Inflation is going up. So you'll see the RBI kind of in the next couple of quarters slowly increasing the interest rate, which will definitely push the home loan rates up. So that will be a negative for the end users. The new launches will be quite less in 2019 because we already have a lot of unsold inventory left in 2018, and the new launches that were made in 2018 did not perform quite well. So developers would like to complete the existing project first rather than tying up their money and kind of their effort in launching new projects. And definitely election 2019 is going to be a big theme. Every developer will want the results to come out before they get into any kind of new launches. Consumer sentiment is definitely going to be weak in 2019 because we have seen very less job growth. We have seen telecom losing a lot of jobs. IT has been quite slow, and this liquidity crunch has impacted the SME sector quite hard. So we'll see that this consumer sentiment would kind of be quite depressed, which would restrict the buyers to kind of flop the market and make the purchase. Consolidation will gain momentum. By this I mean that we'll see a lot of developers kind of merging with the bigger players because they will be starved of funds. They'll not be able to complete the projects, and kind of either they will give up their land parcels or projects to a stronger player, or we'll see a lot of JD and JV happening where the weaker players will merge with stronger players. In a way, this is good for industry because consolidation always makes the industry a bit strong. affordable housing model will be tested. We have seen a lot of push by the government as well as the developers towards affordable housing, but in my opinion, we have seen a lot of supply in this segment. Now we need to see how these segments are performed. The developers will also see how the products that they have launched in the affordable segment, how they're kind of faring. And the next disturbing factor that we see is there's a lot of default happening in this segment in terms of home loans. So I think everybody will take a pause and try to recalibrate their strategy. Rental and managed living will gain momentum. So the shift is definitely moving towards, with this millennial population coming in into the workforce, that rather than buying, they are preferring to rent. So we'll see a lot of companies like Nestaway and then Oyo Livings coming into the picture, and developers who have a lot of unsold inventory are also contemplating to get into a model of service apartment or managed living. Ready to move apartment will definitely gain flavor amongst the buyer. As I said earlier, that it will not attract GST, as well as execution risk will be quite less. Prices will remain flat because of oversupply and then weak consumer sentiment. I think the prices are not going to go anywhere in this year. The alternate asset class, for example, co-working, student housing, senior living, and warehousing will gain center stage amongst the developers, because these will be the new avenues of growth for developers. Retail in tier 2 and tier 3 cities will kind of gain momentum. We have seen a lot of malls coming in tier 2 and tier 3 cities, and the data that we have gathered from the e-commerce players like Amazon and Flipkart, we see 80 to 85% growth in the demand coming from tier 2 cities. So that's the reason we feel strongly that retail in tier 2 and tier 3 cities will be next potential. And as the industry becomes more fundamentally strong in terms of RERA, GST, unified accounting practice, and issue of non-transparency is addressed, I think the global players, the global funds would be very much interested in the long-term growth story of the Indian real estate. So with this, I would like to end my presentation. I hope everybody found it useful. And please feel free to ask any question that you might have. Thanks.
Well, thank you very much. Do we have any questions? Well, there was just such an interesting presentation with so many insights, many of which were rather bleak to hope there's a silver lining in there somewhere, but do we have any questions? No, we don't have any questions? Yes.
So, do you think when it comes to Bangalore prediction that the overhang is for 18 months? Post 18 months, you feel the situation is going to be good?
So I think if we consider or compare Bangalore with other cities, Bangalore has been doing quite well. So 18 months definitely, once this unsold inventory and this election thing is over, Bangalore will definitely be better. It's kind of doing better than the rest of the city. We are seeing a lot of sales happening, launches also happening. So if you see that 10% reduction in the unsold inventory, that has happened in spite of good amount of launches happening in Bangalore. That sales are also kind of happening in equal time.
Just one last question. As a buyer, if I need to look into an investment today in Bangalore, do you think good developers are still there in Bangalore to still complete projects on time?
Yeah.
So will it be a value proposition to invest in a project which is going to be completed at a later date? Or do you think buying a ready moving apartment will be a wiser option? What do you think?
See, it depends. For example, it has to also take into account your duration. Now, for example, if your investment is for 10 years, I would recommend that you go for a kind of under construction project, early stage of project of a good developer. But the catch is you should get a very favorable price. Otherwise, if you're if you're going for a ready to move an apartment, you save on GST. The good option would be that either you are buying for your end use, for example, if you're looking for a rental, and then you go for a ready to move apartment, greatest component of loans, save GST.
Going forward, do you also think that the real estate prices is on an upward trend in the coming half of the year, or what we had the trend in the past year?
See, so I think this breaks out of a lot of investors. We are never going to see that kind of price again. So the industry has already crossed that phase of supernormal growth. We are kind of in a phase of normal growth. So 8-9% would be a normal growth in
Mr. Thakur, good morning. I am Niranjan from Narayanpur, Secretary of Karnataka. I would like to know that you said as no 76,000 units will be sold out in 19 months. But what is the, again, land sanctions are available or whatever, how many builders are going to launch and how many units will be added in this year? Again, there will be maybe another 20,000 units will be added, I think, in this year, coming years. I would like to know how many units will be added again. You have any idea on this?
See, though the developers have plans to launch, but we do not have the exact number of units. So for example, for example, in Bangalore, so we have a quarterly absorption appetite of, let's say, 20 to 25,000. So if we extrapolate, let's say, for example, they will build more than 20 to 25% than the existing demand. So I think per quarter, the kind of launches that we might see in Bangalore will be in the range of, let's say, 35 to 40,000 in the next
Coming years.
because they'll take a lot of precautionary measures. There's a lot of uncertainty that we are going to witness in 2019.
True. Now, if new launches are delayed and the 76,000 units are sold, and just hypothetically, if new launches are not available, then it will not become for a common man to buy the flats, I mean just apartments, because there is no stock available in the market. People holding stock, definitely they would like to raise their prices. So for a common man, I think it will become very difficult to offer those kind of flats. Don't you think so?
So see, in Bangalore and in other cities also, the kind of sales that have happened, if you see 25% of the purchase have been made by investors, or let's say for people who are kind of, who have planned to hold that flat, sell it at a later rate. So you'll see a lot of stocks re-entering those markets apart from launches. So you'll see launches happening from developers as well as lot many investors trying to offload their market.
True.
So as I said, the prices will firm up, but not, the way we saw in, early 2000. So it will increase in the range of 8%, max 10%, which I think is a healthy
market.
for the
True. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Before you go on stage for just a minute, one interesting point that you mentioned, there were so many interesting points, but one that really caught my attention personally was the fact that consumers will be looking to or ready to move in properties, especially in 2019 and going forward. So very quickly, in the interest of time, can you quickly enlighten us, and this will help us introduce the next presenter as well, what is it that developers are doing to accelerate the development of properties so that they are ready to move in for customers and consumers?
So number one, what they're trying to do is they're trying to conserve their funds by limiting the new launches. So whatever resource they are more focused on completing the existing stock. And they're reaching out to PE funds or NBFCs and trying to raise funds for the projects which need last mile construction. For example, there are projects which are almost ready to move in, but the developer has run out of funds. So those projects are finding a lot of interest in PE funds and financial institutions because the execution risk is very risky. Give the developer some amount and he completes and then the project is very flexible.
There's a new concept called off-site manufacturing wherein everything is done off-site. Is this something that's really catching on very quickly?
So a lot of focus moving towards affordable housing. So for affordable housing, it's high volume, low margin product. So you have to keep your cost of construction quite low. So these new technology like fly ash bricks, off-site molding and then assembling on the site is gaining traction in these kind of projects.
So it's gaining traction.
So it is to cut down the speed of time of the construction, also bring down the cost.
Very good. Thank you very much, Mr. Thakur. We appreciate you coming over here and spending your time with us and sharing with us your vast experience and insight. As a token of our appreciation, we would like to hand over a small memento to you. And to hand over this memento, we would like to request Mr. Bopaya, MP, who is the Head of Sales and Business Development from our partner, KEF Katera, onto the stage. And this is a very interesting memento. Maybe if you could please bring that on the stage. Could you please, before I hand it over to Mr. Thakur, could you show that to everybody, please? So what we have over here is a memento and this is a picture of Mr. Thakur. This picture was taken about 10 minutes back during Mr. Thakur's speech. So as you can see over there, it's a live photo.